Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Virgo March 22 forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, and it's always great to see the highly talented and attractive Virgo. Actually, some time ago I did a video which runs for about 7 minutes. I'll put a link to it in the description below, and for about 7 minutes it runs, and it's called The Virgo Woman, Sex and Style. And so I think you'll find it quite interesting and perhaps entertaining, who knows. That's my outlook on what the characteristics of the Virgo woman are when it comes to her interests on the workbench, I suppose you'd say. Now, this month we are using a deck which is themed from sub-Saharan Africa. And so many of the protagonists are people of color, I'm pleased to say, because many of my clients from around the world are people of color. And if you would like to have a one-on-one personal clairvoyant reading with me by way of FaceTime or Skype, just check out the information that's in the description below, and you can do the same thing as so many Virgo people have done. Now, let's draw 5 cards for you. 5, the number of change. And see what there is in store for you for this month. There is Young Blade. Let's pull something from in here. Here is 8 of Coins. It's interesting. Interesting. The artwork is great on this. I waited about 7 months to get this from the developer. There's the 4 of Gourds. Gourds, as you'll see in just a second, you'll see that they are clay vessels for carrying and dispensing, usually water or other liquids. The Maasai tribesmen used them for blood when they would bleed their cattle and drink cattle blood for protein. There is the 7 of Blades. And what finally shall we get for you from in here? Let's have a look. Oh, what a great thing. There's Papa Staff, which is wands. Why don't you come down now, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do your reading for you. Right, let's see what we got. Here you are. Here's the Virgo. Now, I'm going to start with this guy because I just like the look of him. Papa Staffs. Staffs might in other decks be called as wands. Now, what we see here is that Papa Staff is the primordial fire, raw power, versatile yet volatile, the great creator and destroyer. Now, fire is pure energy, the spark of the soul. It is essential to life. Fire is the energy of pure creative manifestation and is also a trigger for certain species of plants out in nature to germinate, isn't it? And that's a great metaphor for sparks of inspiration which you'll be having at this time. It is the will and passionate desire to be seen and heard that's going to envelop you during this period. Now, Papa Staff will not go unnoticed and will, like you, set the room ablaze if he doesn't receive the respect he commands. This energy is what makes Papa Staff such a powerful driving force. He is tireless in his pursuit and his desire to bring into reality what he has set his mind to. I think his heart and his emotions are well balanced. His display of love and protection for his family and community is really unparalleled. But at worst, when his energy isn't properly directed, his inferno is like the ground fire that burns away the organic matter necessary to produce new life. Now, in this case, he may be like an unrelenting blaze through anything that stands in his path. Now, to stay constructive, Papa Staff must, and I think you during this period must also, have a constructive outlet and a loving support system around you. I see Sagittarius and Scorpio as being very important to you during this period. In his crown, let's just have a look at it here. Just have a look at this, and in particular, that Now I get my finger away and you can see it there. Well, there sits the head of a woman who represents the balancing source of intuition and wisdom that keeps him in check. Now, this is a time, I think, when you will, as I've really foreshadowed, be quite active. You'll be very generous. You may be impetuous at times. You'll have a great degree of pride, and you'll have a great degree of swiftness about you, and probably people will see your actions as being unpredictable at this period. It could also be quite startling, even quite revolutionary changes in the events that are surrounding you at this period. But you should remain cool and collected and resolute and energetic, and be careful of the actions you take. Nothing that hasn't been well thought out, but go forward with an alert confidence in your ability. You will be determined. You'll be actually very charming and magnetic, and you'll be hard to resist. I have to tell you, and take this as you will, but you are going to be very sexually attractive to other people. So I'm sure you're capable of handling that. And I think what there is here is the real sense almost of a budding entrepreneur around here, or a desire for an independence in financial senses. So this is a time when you should be awake, be ready for people or situations which could produce dynamic changes in your consciousness. Be grateful for this gift from existence. Receive it, but don't cling to it. Does your present situation allow your energies to develop and unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed? And seek out situations and opportunities that challenge you, and engage them with all of your energy. And say this to yourself at this time: every challenge which arises helps me grow. Every storm strengthens my roots. Well, where shall we go to next? Well, why don't we go to the diagonally opposite side and have a look at who this fellow is. Young Blade. A lot of Capricorn around here, a lot of Aquarius. They're going to be important to you, I have the sense of. Now, Young Blade is Mercury, mercurial air and power in motion. Now, one of the strengths of an air personality is their calm, reflective, and easygoing temperament. They have an ability to detach themselves from emotions and connections that, at the end of the day, don't serve what they believe to be true. The Young Blade here, however, is the forceful aspect of wind that creates energy, storms, turbulence, and erosion. There is no limit to the height that his mind is capable of reaching, and there is no censorship, really, of the new thoughts that they wish to communicate. Now, this is a person who could be, as I say, a Capricorn or an Aquarius. And this is someone who, they're the main things that I'm getting. But there's somebody around you, maybe those two, who jump from one idea to the next, one idea. And they go to the next idea because any idea that they have, they feel is just as good as the one before. But the problem that they have is the ability to be able to actually make tangible anything, to actually make something happen. And very often their background can be a record of just consistent failure, I have to say, because they haven't focused. They spread their energy, that airy mind. See, this guy is air, esoterically in air, so it's this windstorm that's flying around. The key, and this is something that you need to be aware of as well, is to make sure that your thoughts are centered during this period and focused in order to make things happen. Now, that's not to say that you don't have a fine mind, because you particularly do. But what I am saying is that in order to get things done, you should really just concentrate on one thing at a time and do it really well. I think it's important that you do something really well to the best of your ability. Then you will feel satisfied. If you spread your energy around, you won't find the perfection that you seek in any of the things that you undertake. So focus on one thing at a time. Now, it's also the case, I think, that you will actually be quite intellectual anyway during this period. And look, you're going to be full of ideas and plans. You'll be very clever, but make sure that you remain stable. Now, there is a chance here that you could be domineering. Maybe some people could see you as being elusive. This other person that's around here, though, that you know of, there's someone who's quite impressionable. There's someone who takes on the ideas of somebody else. There's someone who gets involved in cults or fads or is taken up with the latest new thing, and then they pass it on without ever mastering anything here. So what we have is that there is progress with such a person, but any direction in which they move is accidental. Be careful it doesn't happen to you, and make sure that you stay in control. Nevertheless, I think it's important that you free yourself from whatever limits your mind and spirit. Be sure you express your ideas and plans in ways that other people will understand. Accept their opinions humbly. Your thinking could just well be ahead of its time, you know. It's very often the case with you. You are ahead of the curve, but you can adjust to make your vision workable in the present without sacrificing anything. And I'll ask you this question. What beliefs, feelings, relationships, or programmed ideas do you allow to limit yourself? You should say this to yourself at this time. My creative possibilities have no limits. Well, you really do have a great mixture of the suits, don't you? Let's have a look at this air card. Look at the way this is melanated, this card. A good job by the printer, certainly. Well, obviously by the artist as well in having the idea to do it. Now, this is the Seven of Blades. Now, I'll just say something about the image, perhaps, and then we could look further into the astrology and see what it means for you. But we'll find out what it means for you as well by looking at the image. Now, in this image here, we see somebody attempting to flee or to take advantage of their current situation to obtain what they desire. Now, below is a group of people sitting on the ground and looking off into the distance, unaware that they are now defenseless as the person above escapes with their weapons. Now, the one who has gathered the swords could also be seen as somebody who is advancing their own cause despite their circumstances. There's nothing wrong with that. And the group left behind may have been captors who are no longer in control of the situation, you see. I think you might be getting away with something, getting away from some strictures that have been binding you. Now, I guess this could have a variety of meanings, but the most pressing one to me is the issue of trust. This card can also, may here show that just be aware of this. It could show that you could be the victim of lies and betrayal. Now, on the other hand, it may be time to use the quality of swords, which is intelligence and communication, to further your own goals. Now, being diplomatic and clever will help you gain opportunities and gain other people's trust, obviously. And you can do this without dishonesty. So always check your actions and motives, keeping in account those affected by your decisions. Because there's a very thin line, isn't there, between climbing and clawing your way to the top. There's another aspect to this energy in the card that I want to talk about, and it is about unstable effort. Look, the astrology is the moon ruling the third decan of Aquarius, that 9th to the 18th of February. Well, the emotions of the moon cloud the intellectual qualities of Aquarius. And in the number, pretty sure it's the number 7 here, yeah. I have a mystical association with the planet of Venus as well, that feminine planet of Venus. So the moon clouds the intellectual qualities of Aquarius, so Aquarius is therefore weakened. And that might give you a sense of lack of clarity, you know? So there could be times where you feel discouraged or despondent, or you have negative expectations about things, or you could be feeling ineffectual or inept. More likely, I think it's about procrastination. Now, that's not like you, but you could be putting off things, or you might just be doing enough, coasting along without really putting in the effort that really is worthy of you to make sure that things are done to a really high standard. You might be working beneath your own standards, you see. You could also have an attack of the miseries, as I call them, where you go, look, everything seems to be clouded by a film or veil. I just don't know what I really want. Or, but it's just too good to be true. Or, I haven't the energy. There's no time. I'm already too old. Or possibly, that's too much good at once. I could never cope with so much success. Or I'm just unable to convey it, to communicate it properly. Or it's simply just too much trouble. It takes too long. Well, these literally destructive thoughts need not be taken seriously. The reality is really very different from what you might perceive it to be. And soon I think you're going to be laughing over your own doubts, you know. Look, the reality is that if these things do come up, and there could be some self-doubts at the moment, which makes you feel that there are some difficulties that are insurmountable. It could be that you are distracted at a time that you need to be focused. It could be that there are subconscious doubts that are dominating. Then what you need to understand is that your fears really do, I see here, have nothing to do with reality. So wake up and see what really is happening. Now, in what areas of your life do you diminish yourself with your own limited ideas? And look, we all do this from time to time. I'm not picking on you. What are your constricting belief systems? Say this to yourself. I master all the skills and means needed to achieve that for which I long for most deeply, and it shall be so. Now I want to have a look at the Four of Gourds. This is such a good card for you. I'm going to finish on that. But what's going on here? Here's the Four of Gourds. Let's have a look at you. Well, gourds, of course, as I mentioned, traditionally being cups, but nevertheless. Now, in the 3 gourds, you see those 3 gourds that are sitting in the front there. We see a celebration, I think, of abundant love and affection. Now, that time has passed, perhaps, and you must take time to contemplate what the next steps are in your journey. So here we see someone sitting on a stone in a deep state of focus. It is at this place you may find yourself numb and apathetic with regards to what lies before you. This is going on with this other card that's there before, but this is being overcome. Now you may also find yourself going within to tap into your higher intuition, and that's something that you should do, because it is from the seat of your higher self that you are able to realize the new opportunities that are now emerging. Now this 4th gourd, you see this thing up here, this really appears from what is a different dimension. It looks like it's coming from out of space and time, from some mode of existence beyond space and time. And it comes down, and it's overflowing with fresh new water to fill the gourds below. So it's up to you to stand on your rock and take this new gourd by the hand, directing it to what you need it to fill. Now the 4 here, I think, is, in a sense, a time of balance and just keeping things stable. Things may be going well, you have 3 full gourds in front of you, yet there is a sense that something important is still missing. The waters are no longer rushing towards you, and this calm may also breed anxiety. So it becomes a very fine line between appreciating what you have, evaluating where you are, and not becoming too self-centered to move forward once again. If you use this time to settle into your own voice and sense of self, you will be better prepared to sense what's coming next. Because who knows what the great blessing is that's going to drop and will drop out of the sky for you at this time. Now here we have the moon again. You know, I'm always very suspicious of the moon, but it's in the 3rd decade of Cancer, the 12th to the 22nd of July. Look, that's a good thing, I suppose, because the moon rules Cancer. The underlying message of that astrology is that I think that you want to be emotionally fulfilled, but you want to be fulfilled in a deep way, don't you? Right into the core, right inside, you want to be fulfilled in a deep way. But maybe you are going around or going about it the wrong way. Now, the moon is also associated with the principle of flux and change, and your own emotional states may be shifting in line with the phases of the moon. But the reality of this situation here is that maybe there's a feeling here that you think, oh, I've got some degree of boredom or dissatisfaction. Maybe you've become too familiar with your environment and lacking motivation. Well, move along, honestly, because good things are coming. It could be that you are looking to material things for happiness, and that's a fool's quest. History shows us that. You could be seeking temporary pleasure as an escape from a feeling of discontent, and sometimes that can be substance abuse or eating too much. Do you think? That can sometimes happen as well. This energy here is reminding you to realize what you do have and to appreciate it, because as you do know, there are plenty of other people who are worse off than you. Look, you are being given much love and devotion. Enjoy it without becoming dependent on it. Are you in a relationship in which you feel restricted? Are you expressively devoted to someone? Say this to yourself. I enjoy being with the other person, whoever it may be, full of thankfulness and joy. I really do think, though, that things are turning out really great for you, as you deserve to be. These are other things that we're talking about, but the reality of the situation is that this is a very good month for you. And I'll tell you why when I get into the astrology of this card, because it kind of subsumes the rest of them. But let's have a look at this image first, shall we, and see what we can make of it. Well, look, do you know that hair braiding is one of the many customs that have stood the test of time among African indigenous communities and their descendants? Hair braiding uses have historically ranged from fashion statements, I suppose, to symbols of wealth and power. Now, Africa is the 2nd largest continent in the world, with thousands of different ethnic groups, each having its own hair traditions. Now, the intricacy of patterns used may denote special occasions, war preparation, I've seen, or identification by other tribe members. Now, the Mangbetu are better known for their cone-shaped basket frame hair braiding. The Maasai men, you know, those people that jump up and down, well, the men dye or cover their braids in a distinctive red clay. The Himba men sport a single plait mohawk, I suppose you'd call it, while their women wear long locks covered in thick red ochre butter and bushy goat hair to seal the ends. Now, the practice of hair braiding establishes a connection between family, between friends, in addition to continuing a valuable tradition that's passed down from one generation to the next. I mean, that's really, I think anybody can see that. Now, this Eight of Coins is a sign of fulfilling and rewarding growth opportunities to come. It's a time to put your heart into acquiring new skills, maybe gaining that promotion, or even moving into a new field of study. Now, on the other hand, you could actually be the one doing the teaching and training. It's also a time to be cautious in terms of your health, right? Be cautious in terms of your health and also in terms of your material well-being. This isn't the time to cut corners, and to rush impatiently towards the finishing line. Rather, patience and diligence are the keys here. Now, coincidentally, the astrology that I have for this card is that of the Sun ruling the first decan of Virgo, the 23rd of August to the 2nd of September. Now, it's also the number 8 here, the Eight of Coins. Well, Mercury is associated for Mary numerologically and mystically with the number 8. And Mercury is the ruler of and is also exalted in the sign of Virgo. So this is extremely favorable for you. And here, with the Sun in Virgo, we have the Sun energizing Virgo's hard work and attention to detail. This is also saying to you that, sometimes you need to understand that there is a strength in doing nothing at all. Sow the seeds, sit back, and wait for the harvest. It's about flowering internal and external richness, wisdom, development, carefulness, patience, and prudence is what's required. That which is coming into flower in you is of exquisite beauty and delicacy. Provide for it the protection and nourishment it needs. You don't need to force anything at the moment. Everything is unfolding at its proper time. Are you giving yourself the protection and nourishment you need now for your development? Say this to yourself because it's true for you now. I relax and I trust life. That's the way it is for you this month. Did you like that? I certainly enjoyed providing it to you, and thank you very much for joining me for your March 2022 reading. Now, if you did enjoy it on the way out, please do me the favor of smashing the like button. It's good for the YouTube thing, the software algorithm that allows more people to see the readings. But in the meantime, I want you to remember one thing, though, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.